Today is going to be a special message to the women of Israel and to the women of Christianity, because I'm understanding that a lot of women are having a hard time, and they don't quite understand what a hedge is. And when the Most High has a hedge over you, and you're having a rough time in life with divorce, children, job, losing jobs. So we're going to go into the book of Esther, and we're going to explain what happened to Esther and the burden that Esther had. And Esther fulfilled her the burden that was put on her by the Most High. And after that, we'll go into 2 Kings, and you will see, we'll explain to you what a hedge is. I'm Brother Yahweh.
Yeshua Judah, Brother Theophilus.
We're going to start off with in Esther chapter 1. And as he read, I'm going to go and explain And there's a lot to be read because I can't just jump into Esther. There's a lot of things you won't understand. So I'm going to start from the beginning and explain as he goes.
Okay, the book of Esther, chapter 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ashurus. Ashurus. This is Ashurus, which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 107 and 20 provinces. That in those days, when King Ashurus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, the palace.
Shushan. Now, King Ahasuerus is the king of Persia, which is in the Middle East. So he was a dark-skinned king. And I'll show you the reason why I said that. Okay.
In the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all the princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, excuse me, the nobles and princes of the provinces being before him.
They had just conquered Babylon. So he'd get ready to have a huge celebration.
Verse 4. When he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even 180 days. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan, the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days in the court of the garden and king's palace, and the other king's palace, where were white, green, and blue hangings fastened with cords and fine linen, and purple to silver rings and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver upon the pavement of red and blue and white and black marble. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold, the vessels being diverse from one from another, and royal wine in abundance according to the state of the king. And the drinking was according to the law. None did compel, for so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house, that they should do according to every man's pleasure. Also, Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the women. Also, Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to the king Ashurus. How do you pronounce his name? On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbana, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zethar, and Sarsis, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Absaros, the king, to bring Vashti, the queen, before the king with the crown royal, and show the people the
Ashurus.
Ashurus.
Like sugar.
Oh, Ashurus. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Ashurus. Okay. To bring Vashti, the queen, before the king with crown royal, to show the people and princes her beauty, for she was fair looking.
Now,
in other words, she was a dime piece.
Yeah. Vashti was the king's wife. So he wanted to show her beauty at this gathering. Go ahead.
But the queen Vashti refused to come, and the king's commandment by his chamberlains.
That's a Jezebel spirit.
She was a dark-skinned sister too.
Yes, she was a sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she did what she wanted to do, which was against the law back then. Go ahead.
This whole passage is very powerful. Verse
13.
Verse 12, actually.
Yeah, he didn't finish.
Oh, yeah, I didn't finish 12. But the queen Vashti refused to come to the king's commandments by his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him. Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was king's manner toward all that knew law and judgment. And the next unto him was Karshena. Is that pronounced right?
Mm-hmm.
Karshena. Shethar, Admathar, Tarshish, Meres, Mersena, and Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face and which sat the first in the kingdom. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to law? Because she has not performed the commandment of the king Assuerus. Well, I got to practice, brother. Assuerus by the chamberlains. The Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen hath not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in all the provinces of the king of Assuerus.
She was setting the stage for all the other women that was under her would eventually do the same thing that she's doing to their husbands.
Which was?
Doing what she wanted to do, not listening.
Bucking. I call it bucking and bucking up to her husband, you know. Verse 17. Keep reading.
Yeah.
Okay. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes.
See, that's what she was setting up.
Mm-hmm. When it shall be reported, the king Assuerus, I'll get it eventually, brother, commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not. Likewise, shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes, which have heard of the deed of the queen, thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment for him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered. I'm sorry, thank you. That it be not altered. That Vashti come no more before King Assuerus.
That's fine.
Yeah, you good.
And let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she.
So now he's looking. He's about to look for another wife. He's about to get rid of her.
Verse 20. And when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to great and small.
Give their husbands what?
Honor, both to great and small. And the same pleased the king and princes, and the king did according to the word of Memucan. For he sent letters into all the king's provinces, into every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, and every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people.
So by getting rid of her, it put things back in order as far as marriage is concerned. Now we're going to skip chapter 2 because I think eventually he put her in prison. I don't know if he killed her or not, but he eventually put her in prison. So now that's going to set the stage because now King Ahasuerus is single now. He's looking for a wife. Now, back then, you didn't just look for a wife like we would today. It took months and months, and they had to prepare the next one to be a queen unto him. So that's why I had to go to the beginning first. Now we're going to go into chapter 3. We're going to skip 2 and go into 3.
Okay. I'll read. You want me to read?
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
This is the book of Esther, chapter 3. After these things, the king Assuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedat of the Agagites. These are Edomites as well. Okay. Also a progenitor of Alexander the Great. Let's put that out there. And advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him, and all the king's servants.
You read my notes because I was just finished.
Oh, you got that? Oh, my bad, brother. I do apologize.
Haman was from he is from. In other words, Haman was a white guy. He was a white man in Persia. His bloodline links to Amalek.
There you go. That's the
and that was in another video I explained who Amalek was. That's Esau. Now Esau mixed himself with the Canaanites, which was a cursed land. And out of the children was Amalek, and that Amalek seed is mixed with what they call a serpent seed. When the angels fell and had giants, that bloodline links into Amalek. This is where Haman come from. Now, remember Haman as we go into the story, and you will see the conflict between Haman and Esther's, was it cousin or uncle? It was an uncle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mordecai, that's all.
Mordecai's an uncle, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Verse 2. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman. For the king had so commanded concerning him. Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence.
Mordecai was an Israelite, and he understood the law that was given to us, the law, statutes, and commandments that was given to us when we came out of Egypt. Now, at that time, Israelites didn't bow to nobody. We was always set apart from other governments rulership. That's why we always had problems in those kingdoms. Now, in this kingdom, we were slaves to the Persians. But when it came down to bowing and giving to statues, Mordecai said, no, I'm not doing that. So that applies today when they sit there and tell you to eat that bowl of grits. When you understand that you're an Israelite, you have to refuse, just like Mordecai did. So that the law does not change. And I want to bring up Mordecai because you're going to see Mordecai did not give up. Let's go to 3.
Verse 3. Then the king's servants which were in the king's gate said unto Mordecai, why transgresseth thou the king's commandments? Now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them. And they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matter will stand. For he had told them that he was a Jew.
Jews, see that at that time, these people are Israelites. He was a black Jew, which is short from the tribe of Judah. Mm-hmm. But he said he's not bound to no man.
Verse 5. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath, and he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone.
He ready to fight Mordecai. But listen to this.
For they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews.
Now he wants to get rid of all of us. Not a one-on-one fight. Now he is coming up with a plan to get rid of all of us that was in Persia. All the little towns, it went out everywhere to kill us all.
Throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus. Even the people of Mordecai. In the first month, that is the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is the lot before Haman from day to day, and from month to month to the 12th month, that is the month Adar.
Now these names he's calling out, Nisan and Adar, those were the name of the months at that time. There was no January, February, March, April. They came after the Romans came and started changing the names. Right.
Verse 8, and Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all provinces of the kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people.
See, the laws, Mordecai was under what the laws, statutes, and commandments that was given to us when we came out of Egypt. He stuck by them laws. Now, he lived in the land, but as far as how he lived day to day, he lived according to the laws. He didn't eat anything they put in front of him. He kept the Sabbath and so on.
Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. If it pleases the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hand of those that have charge of the business, to bring it into the king's treasure. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hamadatha, the Agite, the Jews' enemy. I got a problem with this word Jew. I'm going to say this right now. The Hebrews. Yeah. Let me say this and we're going to keep going. Yeah. This is one of the first times that this word Jew started popping up in the Bible. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now they tell you that it's short for Judah, but no one back in this time was ever called a Jew.
No.
These are Hebrews. And I had to say this because when you reading this, we are so accustomed to hearing the word Jew. We see the curly Q Jews with the, you know what I'm saying? So just to let you know that they talking about Hebrews, Israelites from the son of Shem. I just had to put that in there because you go exactly. Thank you, brother. But you go and you look throughout your Bible, this word pops up. This is the first time that this word pops up, and then it just got distorted from then on.
And let me add to that. Now we know.
I do apologize, brother.
No, that has to be interjected. These are things that have to be. We also know that the Edomites are Shemites as well as Ishmaelites are Shemites, but they're not of the promised seed. This is Apostle Paul had to address that somewhere, I think in the book of Romans 9, if I'm not mistaken. You know, some of them are vessels fitted for destruction. We are of the promised seed. You know, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So we say Shemites, which kind of generalizes everything. Go to John 8:8 when those fake Jews was telling the Hamashiach, you know, we're of Abraham's seed. We've never been in prison. You know, well, we know that those people weren't the real. Obviously, they wasn't the real Hebrews. Right. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
They understood our customs, but that's another story. We're gonna go back to this, but I'm glad you brought that out. Yeah. So Jew here is dealing with Hebrews,
right?
Us, right. The Negroes, the black folk.
Exactly.
That's what this is dealing with.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Verse 11. And the king said to Haman, "The Syria is given to thee, the people also to do with them as it seemed good to thee." Then were the king's scribe called on the 13th day of the first month. And there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants and the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, in the name of King Ahasuerus was it written and sealed with the king's ring.
So the decree went out to get ready to kill all of us. And if that had happened, we probably wouldn't be here today.
And the letters were sent by post into all the king's province to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Ador, and to take a spoil of them for prey. The copy of the writing of the commandment to be given to every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and a decree was given to Shushan, the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed.
Keep going.
Chapter 4. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put sackcloth with ashes, and went unto the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry. And he came before the king's gate, for none may enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth.
Now he got upset because he felt like all this was because he wouldn't bow before the king, and he went into the midst of the city where he wasn't supposed to go. No one could go close to the king's palace at that time, but one person.
That was law.
Keep going.
Verse 3. And in every province whithersoever the king commandment and his decree came, there was a great mourning among the Jews, and fasting and weeping and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So Esther's maid and her chamberlain came and told it her. And when the queens exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment of clothes to clothe Mordecai, and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not. Then called Esther from Hatchett, one of the king's chamberlain, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, gave him commandment to Mordecai to know when it was and why it was. So Hatchett went forth to Mordecai into the streets of the city, which was before the king's gate. Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and to the sum of money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasury for the Jews to destroy them. Also, he gave him a copy of the writings of the decree that was given in Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her. and to charge her that she should go unto the king to make supplications unto him and to make a request before him for her people.
Now she's about to get a decree to save us. This was a heavy burden on Esther because
go ahead.
Because she's not understanding, because she know if you get close to the king's gate, they kill you on the spot. She explained that to him. Okay.
I think it also needs to be noted in chapter 2 that we didn't read how Esther got to this position. Vashti was put out. She wasn't put in prison. He just did away with it. He put her out, and he went and he found Esther. Mordecai, which was her uncle, they changed her name as well, so that she would not have a Hebrew name. This goes to show you that all of the people of the land pretty much looked alike as well. All dark-skinned people for the most part. Because the king did not know. He had her to change her name so that she could step away from who she was as a Hebrew, right? And so the king did not necessarily know that she was a Hebrew. Neither did Haman know that she was a Hebrew when he went to the king to say, hey, we need to do away with all of these people. So we are now at this point. So the king has no idea that Mordecai is the uncle of his wife. So this is why he came to her and it was by providence. I asked a question one time, Ayans, is it okay to lie sometimes?
Abraham did to save his
hide. Just go back to the scriptures. Go back to the scriptures, and you will see that there are instances where lying benefit.
I think it benefited for Joseph too.
It benefited for Abraham. It benefited for Isaac. It benefited for Joseph.
Sure did.
It benefited now for this cause. Sure, don't be a dummy. If I'm hiding you, just an analogy. If I'm hiding you from the FBI or from a killer, and I know that they knocking at my door, am I going to be a good Christian to be like, I can't lie? Yes, he's in here. No.
Then they put out, well, a liar shall not tear in his sight. It says,
I'm lying. I have not seen this. I don't know who this brother is, right? I just, because we all the way in chapter 3, I just thought that it would be necessary to explain to the people.
To add to that,
how Esther got to this position.
Common sense. One of the 10 commandments, thou shalt not kill. But you see in this book, it was a lot of slaughter among Israel against our enemies. And one thing you mentioned about Esther, we're going to get back to it. This is why chapter 2 is very important. If I'm not mistaken, in chapter 2, it explains how did her uncle what happened to the parents?
Right.
You know, so a lot of people don't know. What I'm saying is, all of that was planned.
This is providence.
For such a time as this is the Most High's doing. Y'all understand that?
Vashti's, the way Vashti carried herself.
Spirit in her heart.
All of this was set up. This was chess pieces being moved to get Esther in the palace.
That was
for this reason right here.
For this reason right here. And that's exactly what happens to a lot of us today.
And let me follow behind what he just said. Chess pieces being moved. So you have to understand, when things happen to you in your life, they're like chess pieces being moved, even if you have to lose someone. Mother, father, sister, brother,
chess pieces being moved.
Children, things are being moved around. So we really have no right to question the Most High about anything. He's the one that's doing this. Just like in this story, how he's moving things around and setting it up. So the Hebrews wouldn't perish because they had a decree to kill all of them.
This part is so good. I'm gonna leave it alone. Vessels. We are all vessels, and it goes back to what Paul, I think he said in Romans 9, how we're all vessels. Some for the positive, and some of us are fitted as vessels that are fitted for destruction. Haman, I think, was a vessel fitted for destruction.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Hatred had to come into his heart, just like Pharaoh. See how the Most High used all of us. Chess pieces. You know, this is very powerful. But go ahead.
Haman is no different from the Edomites we living under today.
No different.
They sit there and come up with something, wiping your nose, take this bowl of grits
Crafty.
and it'll heal you.
Yeah, crafty
Or
counsel.
stay locked up.
Yeah, crafty
So
counsel.
Haman is no different from the Edomites we're living under in this country.
Yep.
The spirit of the Medes and Persia is no different also than the spirit that's today too, because the same spirit of wanting to kill the Hebrews is the same spirit that's in the world today. They're just going about it in a different manner. All of the nations are together with doing away with the seed of Jacob. Man.
Yeah.
So and that's what the cocktail is for. The cocktail is to do away with the seed of Jacob, and everybody else is just a byproduct, right? But it's specifically for the seed of Jacob.
And so Jacob, there's a promise given to Jacob, you know, that I think Apostle Paul asked that question. Has
Most High forsaken Israel?
Yeah, Most High forbid.
Yeah.
You know? So Israel would not be consumed. That's in Malachi 3:6.
And Christianity, they say they'll lie and say he did do away with this.
Yeah, Christians don't read the Bible. We know Christians don't read the Bible, so that's
Right.
Go ahead.
Am I still in verse 8?
9.
Verse 9. And Hattach, is that Hattach? Came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Again, Esther spake unto Hattach and gave him commandments unto Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's province do know that whatsoever, whether man or woman, shall come into the king's, into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter. He may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days. So Mordecai say, look, man, you need to go talk to the king. She's saying, look, I can't go talk to this man. I can't go before him. If I go before him, according to the law, I'm gonna be killed.
Yeah. He has to take the scepter and hold it out.
Right?
And if you allowed to come in, if he allowed you to come in, then you touch it.
And what's so beautiful about this story is to show you how the Most High will protect you, even in situations where you're not supposed to be protected in. All of these kings, world leaders, they're all set up by him, whether they are wicked or not, right? They got their place, which means that they can't do nothing to us unless he allows it. Now, she understands the law. She said, hey, wait a minute, hold up. You trying to get my hand cut off, right? But like, look, we got to trust in our power, right? You know what I'm saying?
To add to that, wasn't by this time, Esther is now the queen. Am I right at this time?
Yeah, she queen.
She's basically the husband of this king.
Huh?
She haven't come to him yet.
Yeah.
The wife.
Yeah, she's the wife. But even that law had with the wife as well. The wife can't even go into that chamber.
The wife ain't capable.
Exactly.
What I'm saying is, an Israelite woman was not supposed to marry anybody that's outside of Israel.
Oh, right.
Okay.
And that goes back to what we were saying.
Back
when
to
I
about
asked
the
that question,
line
is it okay? You see what
You're going exactly what that's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
How you make provisions for his people.
There
That's the same
go.
way it was with the story of Ruth.
You read my mind.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So most definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
This was, I mean, if anybody could protect the Hebrews, it was going to be the king. But we got to get what the world would call a mole.
Yeah.
We need to get a mole up in there.
Do what we got to do, man.
And that was Esther. She had to be something beautiful.
Man, I'm trying to tell you.
Had to be. Verse 12. And they told Mordecai Esther's word. Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. Who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Then Esther bade them, return Mordecai this answer. Go rather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye from me. Neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and I will go in unto the king
2 Corinthians. I got
it. Verse 17. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded. No, did I say Corinthians? I meant Chronicles. I'm sorry. 2 Chronicles 7:14.
Oh, I already know where you're going.
Yeah.
I thought about that too when you said that.
So verse 17. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him.
Now that fasting, I mean, that's something that we do. I even learned to do that myself. When you have issues and problems, you want to take it to the Most High. Just try it. Just fast for it or a day. Well, a day. If you're not used to it, just fast for a day and talk to the Most High when things happen to you in your life, tragedy. And that's why she told them do it for 3 days and 3 nights because she's finna take on a heavy burden.
That's why I wanted him to get that 2 Chronicles.
Yeah, I got you right
14.
here.
You got it, brother?
Yeah, here it is. 2 Chronicles 7:14. And it reads, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and I will forgive their sin and will heal their land. That's a powerful passage.
Go to the beginning of that one and I didn't hear something.
If my people,
who people?
My people,
the world,
my people,
Caucasians,
my people
was talking about a particular race of people, not the world, like Christianity is telling
you. Yeah, that inclusion doctrine.
It's a particular race that he's talking about. If my people would just humble themselves
and pray,
and this here goes directly with what we read here in the 3rd chapter of Esther, when she say, "Go gather together all the Hebrews." Go gather together all the Hebrews that are present here in Shushan and fast ye for me, neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also with my maidens, we're going to do the same thing. So we wonder, and I talk about this all the time, Ayams, we wonder why so much stuff happens to us. Why we are always the last, why we always sitting at the back of the bus, why we never can move forward. Well, we are waking up to who we truly are. Not Negro, not Black, not African American, not none of these labels that they gave us, these proverbs and bywords. We are Hebrew Israelites. Just thinking we collectively at the same time pray to our Father which is in heaven.
Oh, we moving mountains, brother.
And fast collectively at the same time, brother.
We moving mountains.
What do you think will happen?
Yeah, the same thing that happened right here.
The same thing that happened.
In
right
other words,
there.
that process is still effective even this very day.
If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, man.
Same thing applies today.
He gotta honor that, brother.
Yeah, gotta honor that.
He gotta honor that.
That's why
he gotta honor it, man.
Governments try their best to keep us from coming together. And when all of them Israelite camps started going out to these streets, IUIC took them hundreds of thousands to Memphis. That hit Washington. 3 months later, all of a sudden, we on lockdown.
Memphis, and I think they did Chicago.
Yeah. You got to understand this. If you don't know these scriptures, you're not going to have the slightest idea what's going on in the world, and you're going to fall prey to it. You're going to be a victim of it.
That's why it's so important to repent, to turn away and get back to these laws. Get back to these laws, statutes, and commandments, because it's all about getting back to these laws and faith in Hamashiach. That's our power right there. That's our power right there. Yeah.
You want to read 5?
You want me to read? Yeah, okay. Yeah, go ahead, read it.
Chapter 5. Now it came to pass on the 3rd day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house, and the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house, over against the gate of the house.
Now the king visually is seeing her. Watch what happened to the king.
And it was so when the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight.
Fell in love. That sister was gorgeous.
And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand.
What'd she do?
She came in. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. Then said the king unto him, What wilt thou, Queen Esther? And what is thy request? It should be given thee to the half of the kingdom. Esther answered, if it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I prepared for him.
Now Esther is starting to set things up.
Mhm.
She had a plan.
Mhm.
After she took what Mordecai asked her to do, the Most High put in her mind how to set this whole thing up.
Mhm.
And the king fell in love with that sister,
Mhm.
the king of Persia,
Mhm.
when he first saw her. That's called love at first sight.
Mhm.
Verse 5. Then the king said, cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Esther had said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. And the king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, why is thy petition? And it should be granted. What is thy petition? And it should be granted thee. And what is thy request? Even to the half of the kingdom, it shall be performed. Then answered Esther and said, my petition and my request is, if I found favor in the sight of the king, and if it pleases the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king had said. Then when Haman fought that day joyful with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai.
Remember now, Haman is the white guy. That's the Edomite.
Nevertheless, Haman refrained from himself when he came home. He sent and called for his friend and Zeresh, his wife. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children, and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants to the king. Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared for myself. And tomorrow I am invited unto her also with the king.
Mm.
Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai, that Hebrew, sitting at the king's gate. Then said Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made 50 cubits high. And tomorrow speak thou unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet. And this thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made.
Mm. Mm. A gallows is a stand that's set up to hang people,
Like in Westerns.
like them Westerns, like they did a lot of our people.
Mhm.
I don't think they really use that many gallows. They use trees.
trees.
They just put a tree and a rope to it, Gallows was often used after a judgment or decree, or, a person was found guilty, whatever the case may be. I don't really want to misquote this or misuse this, but the word gallows, I think, was basically used for hanging people of maybe a certain status. Not the slaves. They just put us to a tree, basically.
Right.
So yeah.
All right, it's going to 6.
Chapter 6. On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of records of the chronicles, that they were read before the king. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthanan and Teresh, 2 of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus.
So now there was a plot to kill the king
Mm-hmm.
a time before, and they wrote it in the chronicles. Esther was so smart that she knew that he was going to bring this chronicle. There was something in the chronicles that the king did not know.
Verse 3. And the king said, what honor and dignity had been done to Mordecai for this? Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, there is nothing done for him. And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman was come into the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on a gallows that he had prepared for him.
So when Mordecai those two that was plotting to kill King Ahasuerus, I think Mordecai killed them two or said something, and those two were hanged.
Mm-hmm.
But the king of Persia didn't know that. So that's why he's asking, did y'all do anything for him? They did nothing. And they didn't even say anything to the king of Persia.
Verse 5, and the king's servant said unto him, behold, Haman standing in the court. And the king said, let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what should be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor? Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delight to do honor more than to myself?
Right.
And Haman answered the king, for the man whom the king delighted to honor, let the royal apparel be brought, which the king useth to wear, and the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown royal which is set upon his head. And let his apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man with all whom the king delighted to honor, and bring him on horseback through the streets of the city, and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man who the king delighted to honor. Then the king said to Haman, make haste, and take the apparel and the horse, and thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Hebrew. Can you imagine his face? Can you, wait a minute, just picture this right now, man. To who?
He wanted to kill him. Haman wanted to kill him, but look at what happened.
Yeah.
You made a comment earlier. I want to backtrack a little bit, because what I want to show is how the Most High is in control of everything. At the beginning of this chapter, it said that the king could not sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I've had nights like that.
Yeah.
I've been in bed, I can't sleep. And I said, well, let me just get up and go read, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the king said. If the king couldn't sleep, he said, man, go get me the Chronicles. Let me read the Chronicles. And in reading the Chronicles, this was the Most High that kept that brother up from being able to sleep. What one thing do you know that will put you to sleep? Reading. But as he was reading, he come across, that was an attempt to assassinate me. And this cat, Mordecai, saved me. It was in there. It was never told him, because it was never meant for him to know until this time.
Exactly right.
It was not meant for him to know until this time. Now he know it. He said, what did he ask him? Anything been done for this fella?
Mm-hmm.
He said, nothing's
Yo,
been
Haman
done.
thinking he the man. He done win.
Pride.
He done, he's done hugged his
Well,
wife.
I
You
can't
know
think
what
of
I'm
anybody
saying?
but me.
Say, it gotta be me. Say, this is what you do, man. Write a $153 million check for this brother, build a big old house and a Maserati. You know,
Put the best outfit
you know
on,
what I'm
best
saying?
wardrobe,
Say,
put the best of the best.
that's exactly what you gonna do. Go do that for me.
Yeah,
Go do that for
me.
Mordecai.
Yeah. So Hammond was like,
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute, I thought it was for me.
Say, man, this cat don't even bow for me when he see me, man.
That's funny, man.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
No, maybe let me add a little something. Chapter 5, when Esther stepped in and the king was at a point where he could actually see her. Let me just be honest. Men are visually driven, and I don't think he would have had that effect if she looked like the ogre's wife, or if she was some mud duck.
Right, right.
You know, I mean, this woman was most likely a dime piece.
Yeah.
And it said that she was fair and beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, so imagine this happened before, and many times before. I'm almost 50, so I've experienced being in a place, minding my business, and a sister walks in and everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I may not ever say anything to her. I may not ever see her again. But at that moment in time,
Right.
this is a bad mamma jamma.
Right.
So that's what he saw right here. You know, so yeah, I just wanted to put that out. Go ahead.
Verse 10, then king said to Haman, make haste, take the apparel and the horse that thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Hebrew that sitteth at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken. Then took Haman the apparel and the horse and arrayed Mordecai and brought him brought him on horseback through the street of the city and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor. Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hasted to his house mourning and having his head covered. And Haman told Zeresh his wife and all his friends and everything that had befallen him. Then said his wise men and Zeresh his wife unto him, if Mordecai be of the seed of the Hebrews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shalt surely fall before him. And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlains and haste to bring Haman unto the banquet that Esther had prepared.
So they knew about the God of the Hebrews, basically. They feared the God of the Hebrews. Okay, but if Mordecai is a Hebrew, you can forget about it, brother. It's not going to happen. Because these people, not only are they Hebrews, but Mordecai knew the law. You see, he kept the law. Go ahead.
And they fear our God too if we just come together. That was the point of slavery and changing our minds, getting us out of that Hebrew mentality. When we got on the ships, we were Hebrews. When we got off, we were Christians. On the slave ships.
Goes back to 2 Chronicles 7:14, like you brought up. You know, that is still effective even to this day if we come together.
But they do everything they can not to bring us. Now there's so many Israelite camps now. You know, the fight is on their hands. Now we're going into chapter 7. This will be the last chapter.
Chapter 7. So the king and Haman came to the banquet with Esther the queen. King said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted to thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to half of the kingdom. And Esther, the queen, answered and said, if I found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me and my petition, and my people and my request. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he and where is he that durst presume in his heart to do so? And Esther said, the adversary and the enemy is the wicked Haman. Da, da, da.
She told it. Remember, Haman was the Edomite, the white guy.
Da, da, da.
So she got him in a position to where she can pretty much pick him out and tell him it's the one you gave your ring to kill all of us.
Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. The king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make a request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. The king returned out of the palace garden to the place of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house? Say, man, this dude has no reasoning right now.
Yeah.
The king is hot, right? He done left. He not seeing that this man is before his wife begging for his life. All he sees is this man.
You're pleading with him to try.
No,
to
it's before his wife on the bed.
Yeah.
Dude, is you finna force yourself on my wife too? You know what I'm saying? Say, this is not looking real good for you right now, man. I'm sorry, man.
Absolutely. It's not looking good for you, man. Let's go on and
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was I at, Willie?
Yeah.
Where was I at? I'm sorry.
Will he force the queen also before me?
Yeah, will he force the queen also before me in the house? And the word went out of the king's mouth. They covered Haman's face. And Harbana, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman made for Mordecai, who has spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified.
This is how she saved us from the king of Persia.
Mm-hmm. That's a.
And
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
and this was to be a feast to the Hebrews called the Feast of Purim.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we've been brainwashed
Mm-hmm.
through slavery to celebrate Christmas. We're not supposed to celebrate Christmas. As Hebrews, it's the Feast of Purim, which is in the month of February, which is really the last month of the year.
Yeah, absolutely.
March is the beginning of a new year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the Feast of Purim to celebrate what Esther did by saving all of us
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
from being killed.
So, verse 9, one of the when he says, Harbana, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold, also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Hannah made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, checkmate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Con.
That's basically what he said. Checkmate. I got you. You know, you chasing the king. Checkmate. Game over. You know, that's exactly what that was. It's a classic strategy, classic chess.
Yeah,
chess
but that was a heavy burden on Esther, and she fulfilled her duty. She was used by the Most High, and she saved us.
Now, in verse 6, chapter 7, verse 6, don't that story, that passage right there, don't that remind you of something else that happened in history? It says in Esther, now this was dealing with all Hebrews when this happened. And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is the wicked Haman. Who's that that says, whoever's stealing, whatever neighbor took the livestock from one neighbor that didn't have much, we're going to have him killed. Who did this?
What was that? I'm missing it.
Yeah.
What was that?
Let me tell you. Okay. So this prophet comes before the king and says, hey, this guy that has all the livestock, I'm paraphrasing on the livestock, he took the livestock of one and didn't have much.
Oh,
what shall we do with this? So the king stood up and said,
David,
we're going to have him killed. He said, but that guy,
was you.
It was you.
That was you.
So I can only assume the same facial expression David had is also the same facial expression Hanan had, because it was a law that if you commit adultery, you would.
Right. Supposed to be dead.
You're supposed to be put to death. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So he turned him on his own head.
Yep.
Boy, the Most High, man, let me tell you something.
And we're going to go into 2 Kings chapter 6, 1 through 18. Now here it's going to reveal what a hedge look like. I know you heard that word hedge, and you Christians, I'm sure you've heard it, but I know you can't explain it. But we're going to show you what a hedge is. And you get this hedge when you come into the truth, when you understand who your God is. Now there are some Christians that may have a hedge. But we're finna go into this chapter so you can see what a hedge look like. And it's on a lot of you, and you just don't realize it because you can't see it.
Okay, I'll read it. 2 Kings 6, 1 through what?
6, 1 through 18.
1 through 18, okay. 2 Kings chapter 6, verse 1. And the sons of the prophets said unto Elisha, behold now, Elijah. Behold now, the place where we dwell with thee is too strait for us. Let us go, we pray thee, unto Jordan, and take thence every man a beam, and let us make us a place there, where we may dwell. And he answered, go ye. And one said, be content, I pray thee, and go with thy servants. And he answered, I will go.
So Elijah is going with them. They're looking for a larger area to live because where they are is too small.
So he went with them, and when they came to Jordan, they cut down wood. But as one was felling a beam, the axe head fell into the water. And he cried and said, alas, master, for it was borrowed. And the man of God of Ahiah said, where fell it? And he showed him the place, and he cut down a stick and cast it in thither, and the iron did swim.
So he's trying to get the head of it, that axe, but the water took it away, so he couldn't get it.
Therefore said he, take it up to thee, and put it out of his hand, and took it. Then the king of Syria warred against Israel, and took counsel with his servants, saying, in such and such a place shall be my camp.
He's talking about Jordan, the king of Syria.
And the man of God sent unto the king of Israel, saying, beware that thou pass not such a place, for thither the Syrians are come down.
So that's Elijah telling the king of Israel not to go in that area, because they were warned against the Israelites at that time.
Verse 10. And the king of Israel set to the place which the man of God told him, of Ahiah, told him and warned him of, and saved himself there, not once nor twice.
So he went there twice. 2 times the king went anyway, but still prevailed.
Therefore the heart of the king of Syria was sore troubled for this thing, and he called his servants and said unto them, will ye not show me which of us is for the king of Israel?
Y'all can't kill them people. Twice that man came and y'all couldn't do nothing with it.
And one of his servants says, none, my lord, O king, but Elisha, the prophet that is in Israel, telleth the king of Israel the words that thou speakest in thy bedchamber. And when he said, go and spy where he is, that I may send and fetch him, and it was told him, saying, behold, he is in Dothan. Therefore sent he thither horses and chariots and a great host, and they came by night and compassed the city about.
They surrounded the whole city.
And when the servant of the man of Ahiah was risen early and gone forth, behold, an host compassed the city both with horses and chariots. And his servant said unto him, alas, my master, how shall we do?
He's telling that to Elijah, because it looked like they don't have a chance because they surrounded.
And he answered, fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them.
We got more people than they do.
Exactly. And Elisha prayed and said, Ahiah, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see.
Elijah is telling the Most High to open his servants so he can understand what a hedge is.
And Ahiah opened his eyes, and the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha.
Read it again.
And Ahiah opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha.
Those were angels on horseback. And they were already there to protect Elijah. And the enemy was there. But the servant couldn't see it. So Elijah asked him to remove the veil so he can see that the Most High has our back.
Verse 18. And when they came down to him, Elisha prayed unto the Ahiah and said, smite this people, I pray thee, with blindness. And he smote them with blindness according to the word of Elisha.
So when you have things happen to you in your life, you have to understand the Most High got your back. If you have a hedge, you just can't see it. Usually we as Israelites, we understand it. So that's why we bold to say, well, no, I'm not eating no bowl of grits. Like Elijah, I know what's behind me.
I gotta add something to this. Romans 8:28. Because what you're saying is right.
It's a powerful passage.
Most High does have our back, but that comes also under conditions as well.
Right.
Let's go to Romans 8:28.
Go right here. I got it. Romans chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love our higher.
Stop there. It works together for the good of them that who?
Love our higher.
That's the first condition. You cannot be outside of the Most High's will and you are expecting good to come your way. Elijah was not afraid because Elijah knew who he served. He knew that he was within the will of his father. And he knew that his father was going to take care of him. One of the things that I was just teaching my daughter the other day, we woke up and she was at the house. And the first thing I heard was the TV come on. I know she had just woke up. I went in, I said, turn the TV off. She turned the TV off. I said, tell me something that you're thankful for. And she just got the rattling off this whole list of stuff, right? I said, well, why is it that you didn't take time after you woke up to talk to Abba and tell him that? The first thing that you do. I said, you don't have a problem with talking to me. I'm your dad. I said, but that's your heavenly father. We know that all things work together for the good of them that love a higher. You love him because you put him first and foremost above everything that is in your life. I ask my kids all the time, Brother Howard and Brother Theophilus, what is the most important thing in your life? If there's anything that you say before you say a higher, you need to retract your priorities.
Exactly.
You see?
Exactly.
If you want a higher to protect you, you have got to understand what his laws are, what his statutes are, and you have got to walk within those laws and those statutes. For we know that all the Christians read this all the time, but they speed right by that part where it says, for them that love a higher, a God, to them who are called. That's not everybody, brother. Verse 28 exclude a whole lot of people.
That's right.
For them that are called according to his purpose.
Yeah. Mordecai was called. Esther were called. Those two were called. And let me add to that. Give me 1 John 5:3 in case anyone is struggling as to how do you love a higher. 1 John 5:3 tells you exactly how to love. Remember, the Bible always answers itself. Precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. Read whoever gets it, read that for me.
This is the book of 1 John chapter 5 and verse 3. For this is the love of the Most High, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous.
So that love that the scriptures are talking about, not that fuzzy feeling, hug your neighbor,
agape love, as Christians call it.
Agape, and tell your neighbor how none of that. It is these commandments.
His commandments.
So it goes back to Romans 8:28, 2 Kings, the 6th chapter, 2 Chronicles 7:14. These are people, and then what did Esther say? Was it Esther or Mordecai that suggested that we fast for 3 days? No water, no food.
Right.
These are people who already understood about the commandments, especially Mordecai already know we got to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. That way, when we do decide to go on a fast, when we do decide to do these things and pray to our higher, well, look, we're already in that system. We're already doing the things that we're supposed to do to the best of our abilities anyway. So getting an answer from him shouldn't be hard because we already have that open open transfer of communication. If you that's probably saying the same thing, but you know what I'm trying to say. Keep that open line of communication by keeping the law, statutes, and commandments.
So when you're having trouble on your jobs nowadays, bringing it to our time, and the jobs are threatening you with these mandates, you have to stand your ground, knowing that the Most High has your back. Just like in 2 Kings with Elijah, them angels was right there waiting on him. You better not touch it. You better not raise a hand. And it's the same thing with you. Don't fall for the excuses that they have, because we know good and well they got the whole world coming under this one bowl of grits, which it has never happened before in the history of man. where the whole world is actually almost forced to take it.
Let's get
It's something behind that.
one more precept, man. Let's get John chapter 14 to 15 right quick, because Mordecai had a request to his niece, and his niece, before she went on her own, this is something that we also have to understand, that we cannot act in our own reason. There is a way to seem right unto man, but the end therefore is what? It's death.
That's right.
Before we move, before we operate, we need to go before our Father. This is one of the things I be teaching my kids, man, that's Abba, and talk to him as Abba. You dig what I'm saying? That is Father, man. Go to your daddy, and he would give you his wife, which is wisdom, the Kakama wife, and she would tell you how to deal with whatever situation it is that you are in, right? But all these new Christians got it all about. Christians be like, just pray about it. That's all they say, bro. Just pray about it. Just pray about everything, right? John chapter 14 and 15, what it say?
If ye shall ask anything in my name, I will do it.
Christians stop there.
Oh, man.
They stop there.
I'm telling you, especially
they stop there.
Those prosperity.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Did you go any further?
I mean, they sleeping with the pastor's wife, or the pastor sleeping with the deacon's wife. Or they doing all kind of devilish things, and then somehow they get sick. If you ask anything in God's name, he'll do it. That's what the scriptures say. 15. What it say?
If ye love me, keep my commandments.
Look here, man. I have no problem doing nothing in this world for my wife. You know why? Because I know she loved me, brother. She has proven it over 20 years. You dig what I'm saying? That's how high he is with us, man. I tell people that he is petty. He is petty, man.
Yeah, he is. He
is very petty.
He has every right to be.
And he has every right to be petty, right? He said, look, if you want anything from me, I got you. But
you got to keep my commandments.
Come on now.
He's not going to change. Malachi 3 and 6.
Come on now. Malachi 3 and 6. For I am a higher, thy power changes not. Therefore, you sons of Jacob are not consumed.
That's the word. That's the word. That's the word. I love that. I love that.
So you women, if, y'all having hard times, man. You got to go on these scriptures, especially you Christians. I know you Israelite women understand, and you pretty much know what to do and how to go to a higher. But you Christians now, we at a difficult time now. It's not that many chapters left in the book of Revelation. Then it's all over.
Yeah.
So you got a choice to make, either government or the Most High.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And he's still choosing people. He's still choosing.
Even to this day.
Even to this day, male and female. He's still choosing. And if you don't answer the call, then that's on you.
But the opportunity's here.
Opportunities here, just like Esther. When she got the call, she answered and understood and came up with that plot. And just like Elijah, he had no problem because he knew what a hedge was. The servant didn't.
How you say, prove me now herewith, says the Lord of hosts.
The highest not going to
prove me. That's the word, prove me.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta keep his laws before you can prove them. He gonna take care of you, man. Hey, a bodyguard is only gonna work as long as you pay him.
As long as you pay him, you gotta do your portion.
you miss a payday.
Yep.
You on your own.
You on your own.
You miss a payday, you on your own. Man.
Just to add to what this brother just mentioned about Revelation, the book of Revelations, and it's not much left. Because we are at the end. I thought about the statue in the book of Daniel, and from head to toe, from the Babylonians to the Medo-Persians. Of course, we talked about that in Esther. The Greeks, the Romans, all the way down. Now it's talking about the papal Rome, European Union, right now. So
United Nations,
from the head of that statue all the way down to the feet, to the ankles, if you will. All of that has already passed. So now we at the 10 toes.
We at the toes.
We at the toes.
We were slaves. We were slaves in every last one.
Every last, the Babylonians, the Medo-Persia, the Greeks, the Roman Empire.
Now
Rome fell. Rome rose again.
We were slaves in all of them.
So all of them.
Who really needed to be saved?
Yeah, exactly.
We were slaves all thousands of years.
Exactly. Now it's talking about the New World Order and Sunday law. In the kingdom of Jesus, it says right here is what I'm looking at. It's talking about that false doctrine. That's exactly what we're living under right now. But a lot of people don't. Man, I'm telling you, I'm so glad I'm awake. Brother, thank you so much. Look, this is the brother that woke me up some 5 or 6 years ago. It took me 7 months. Hold on before you cancel.
No.
This is the brother that woke me up. I thought I knew the Bible. It took 7 months before I was able to sit down and watch a 15-minute preview of a particular video that's let me know who I was. Just on that preview alone, it answered the question that Christian churches could never answer. To this day, I done lost my mind. So you call me crazy if you want, but hey, I'll never be a Christian again. Not according to Western theology. No, sir. No, man. All praises. All praises.
We got a special video. Yeah. We got a special video for you. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. And we're gonna say shalom to you.
Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.
Do you love voting? Well, Freedom Hope Club makes voting easier than ever.
Did you make a banner?
Yeah.
And begin these words. I was born by the river in the little tent, and just like that river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change don't come. Oh, yes, it will. Said I go to my brother. Help me, please. But when I go to my brother,
Where are you?
I wouldn't last for long, but somehow I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time, but change gone. Oh, yes, you will. See that times when I go, I will somehow I remember. love you so much, Mr. Washington. You are so amazing. God bless you.
Doctor.